Bienvenue tout le monde, and welcome back to another battle in NTW3. Today we have a competitive league match between two of the finest clans in the world. Today's battle will be fought in the Army Corps mode, corresponding to the War of the 5th Coalition 1809 between France and Austria. So what that means for the dummies in the back, it means that they must select armies that are authentic to the era. So, leading the French forces, we have the clan Les Cravates Royales. And their opponents, leading the Austrians, we have Letuchyi Korpus. Now, for both teams, they must have an army value of 38 points. Let's go ahead and break it down, look at what corps are bringing and what generals. For the French, their first corps is led by Louis-Nicolas Davout, who is worth 10 points. The next corps is led by Eugène de Beauharnais, who is worth 11 points. Next, we have Jean-Baptiste Jules Bernadotte, who is worth 7 points. And finally, last but certainly not least, André Massena, who is worth 10 points, adding up to a total of 38 points. Now, moving over to the Austrian side and looking at their generals, the first one we have is Prince Liechtenstein, who is worth 11 points. For their next general, we have the Archduke Ferdinand Karl Joseph of Austria, who is worth 8 points. Their next army corps is led by Johann von Hiller, who is worth a grand total of 10 points. And finally, their last corps is led by Count Heinrich von Bellegarde, who is worth 9 points, adding up to a grand total of 38 points. So guys, sit back, relax, get some snacks and drinks, and enjoy the show. Jeez, guys, who left the window open? It's freezing in here. Welcome to another frozen wasteland of a battlefield. I believe this one is called Letuchyi. If that's correct, I'm not sure, but I think that's right. So on this strategic frozen map, there are 8, I might be wrong, but about 8 capture points. Now, these are strategic points, and this is how you win the game. So you have to, whoever captures the most at the end of this timer is crowned champion. Or if you just completely annihilate the enemy team, you are also crowned champion of the match. Now, all these points, all these little capture building points, which are marked on the minimap, they are all worth 1 point, except for the farmhouse known as La Retire. All right, so if you take control of this one, it's worth 3. So this is obviously going to be a major point of contention in this battle today. Now, since we can see the French forces, and keep in mind, this is in the perspective of the French team, so I can't see the deployment positioning of the Austrian forces, but of course I can with the French. So let's go ahead and look at these forces here in better detail. So we'll start on the right side from the French perspective. We have a Saxon army, so these are Saxon troops of Saxony, and they're being led by why can't I say his name? Bernadotte. There you go. So he's leading this force, and in front of him is Eugene, who's leading an Italian force, but they're fighting under the French banner. So it's been, you know, like conquered Italy, now fighting for the great emperor known as Napoleon. Now, over here on this side, we have the famous Davout, however you want to pronounce it. My French is failing me. Davout. There you go. I'll just go with that. No, anyways, he's got a sizable force headed to the left side. And then way over here, he spawned on the left. This is Massena. and he's bringing a good, diverse force of infantry, artillery, and cav, and he's just marching straight forward. He did spawn on the left side, so he is on the left side of the battlefield, so he is going to be positioned here. Now, naturally, these battles always start off with scouting. Both sides have intense fogs of war that they have to unveil, so to speak. So they are scouting up ahead, and it looks like Austria might be going for an early aggression here, early charge of Cav, but he does not go for it, which is probably a smart play because the French forces have a lot of horses. A lot of horses ready to move in if they did engage. They kind of zoned out the French here in this initial center position of the battlefield, but I think it was just a big feint. I don't think either clan, either team is willing to engage just yet. Now, over here, though, there is a Speedy Gonzales unit here of infantry, 72 brave men that are marching forward, and they are headed for the 3-point region. Now, are they going to get there before the Austrians? It's going to be tough to say. We do have an Austrian general here. I wish I knew which one it was, but you can't see the name of the general. Yeah, you know, the models in most cases don't really look like the actual general, so it's just like generic mustache guy. So who knows what general this is, but he's definitely moving forward and trying to get a good view of the battlefield. Now we do have our first shots of the fight, and it comes from artillery, the Austrian artillery. They are going to go ahead and release some cannonballs. Oh yeah. They're going to go ahead and fire and do some heavy damage on the French that are kind of blobbed up now. So I don't know if they've taken any casualties from that artillery, but it's certainly terrifying. So the French probably want to start spreading out their troops, but they definitely don't want to stop moving forward because, you know, you're a sitting duck. So you want to try to close the gap and just pray that the cannonballs do not hit the majority of your men. You also have some Austrian cav that's moved up forward, once again scouting the French position. This is probably why they were able to fire that artillery so early, because they've got fantastic eyes on the battlefield. They got their scouts. Now let's head back over to the 3-pointer where the French forces are going to get there first. They're going to get to this building and they're going to go ahead and occupy it. So that means that the French team is going to go ahead and take the 3 points. Now they have to hold it during the very end of the battle, so it's not like they get to keep the 3 points. It's not whoever first gets there, it's whoever can hold it at the end of the timer. But just going in there and setting up a solid defensive position is definitely a good start. Now let's see what the Austrians do here, if they're going to counteract. Now they do have some cav lined up, and I hear, oh, are we going to get a charge in the center? They're screaming their heads off, and they are going for the French, and they're not letting up. Let's see. And they let up. All right, so yeah, that's probably a smart move, because now we have Saxon Cav, who's up here as well, ready to support the French Cav. So that's probably a wise decision. That would have been kind of suicidal to kind of charge into that situation. And now, oh, look at this. We've got some Austrian grenadiers. Some Austrian grenadiers marching forward for the building. They're just taking shots like champs. Look at, they're shooting through the windows, taking shots like champs. They're just like, whatever, another day, another battle. So they are taking losses though, but they're still just keeping a level head, and they're going to probably eventually here charge in and begin the fight. And I think these grenadiers can easily get in there and win this fight in close combat. There they go. There they go. But the Saxon Cav going for a charge against these grenadiers to try to support the infantry. Very cool uniforms too. Look at those hats. So fancy. But the grenadiers are not phased at all. And this cav is like a piece of paper being tossed into a brick wall. It does nothing. They are trying to hit this unit over here. They're going to reorganize, but yeah, this is really leading to nothing. They've lost 7 men in this pursuit, and it seems pretty useless. So they're going to go ahead and fall back out of there. And the Austrian grenadiers should be able to clear out this building without any too much issue there. But look at this. Look at how the Austrian army is forming. Out of the fog of war, they are starting to now come from this direction. So this would be, I don't know, from the mini-map, what would this be? This would be the southern position. If you're looking like, it doesn't matter. They're coming from this church area. Okay, and they're actually going to put a little bit of a flanking position on the French, with the French already anticipating it and having some line infantry. Eugene, he's like, form up over there, you Italians. And yeah, anyways, I'm sorry, but they're formed up here and they're ready to engage this Austrian flank. And of course, the Austrians are lined up straight ahead from the 3-point building as well. So they're kind of forming a L shape here around this French army. We'll see how this progresses, but so far it looks pretty solid for the Austrians. This does look like things are about to pop off here. The two corps are about to clash over on this would be the right side. Every time I say right or left side, it's from the perspective of the French forces. Here comes another cav charge from the bloodthirsty Saxon forces. And they're kind of trotting almost in a parade march here. There they go. They're going to go in there once again, trying to chip away at this grenadier unit that is still fighting for the control of the farmhouse. The 3-point farmhouse. Now, Austria charges in some cav as well. And sure enough, that scares off the Saxon cav. But yeah, look at this. Look at this. Just a ton of movement here. Let's see if they countercharge with these beautiful gray coats here. Let's see if they go in and actually charge the French infantry. And it looks like they are going to make contact, but the French form square right at the last second. And they're going to maintain this front line. So naturally, the Austrians are going to fall back from that position. And now the Austrian lines have begun firing, but are now repositioning, reforming. So they got off a volley there. They're going to step back, but as they're doing so, the French are opening fire on the retreating unit. Let's go to the other side real quick, make sure we're not missing anything here. Okay, so look at the positioning here of this 2 French corps. You got Davout over here. Davout, he's moving up to this set of buildings right ahead of them. And the reason for that is that the buildings here, this little neighborhood, is going to give them cover from this center artillery. Now, of course, the French still have some artillery, which, oh my gosh, the French artillery is breaking. That is a tragic loss for the French army. So right out of the gate, the French artillery must have been bombarded by the Austrian artillery. Okay, they do calm down. All right, it's not completely lost, but that's not a great start for the French artillery. They have a thin line holding the center, just in case the Austrians get aggressive and try to split this French force. But the majority of French troops are very wisely using the buildings here to advance, so they avoid the angles here. They avoid the destruction of this Austrian artillery. Here comes another volley. Yeah! Yeah, they're still going for the French artillery, and sure enough, all it took was another shot, and they're like, actually, never mind, I do not want to fight today. So that's, yeah. I'm sorry, French people, I'm sorry. Well, back over here, we've got a huge development. We have the open center, and the center so far has been mostly, it's been mostly a little sissy like trot around with the horses. There's been no fighting here. It's just been a lot of fun of just like it's like taking your horses out for a nice little ride, okay? Just like a ride around nature. There really hasn't been anything going on here, but now it looks like the French are moving forward, and potentially they are going to go with infantry. Well, they are going with infantry, not potentially. They're moving forward, and they're going to split the 2 Austrian corps, or the 4 Austrian corps, in half. Which could be a big error here for the Austrians. Over this way, it looks like the French have kind of fallen back a little bit. The Saxons are actually moving up. So I think the Saxon/Italian force here is going to probably just keep these Austrians maintained. That way, this center remains open, And yeah, the French cav are going to continue to go for it. But meanwhile, we do have some fighting over here on the very edge of the battlefield. The French, ooh, they got a shot off. Now they're falling back, and they're actually taking shots in the back by the Austrian forces. The Austrian line infantry. But it does appear that the Austrian forces have forfeit most of the control of this neighborhood here, this set of buildings, and they're going to kind of rely on a more deeper defense. And they're going to, yeah, they're going to forfeit those buildings and I guess reorganize their lines, maybe set up some artillery, rely on the artillery to do the heavy lifting. Now the question is, what do the Austrians see here? Oh, here we go. The French are getting very aggressive here. Look at that. They're going deeper and deeper in the middle between the four Austrian corps. 2 on this side, 2 on that side. We'll see how this plays out. It doesn't look good because the French could easily find themselves in a sandwich, right? They could easily find themselves, you know, by 2 pieces of Austrian bread, and you got the French meat in the middle, because there is a French cav unit. Oh, it disappeared. Where'd it go? It pulled a Houdini. It disappeared, but it's somewhere on the battlefield here. The fog of war, it can be like that. It's a cruel mistress. Sometimes it helps with your troops, and sometimes it hurts in hiding the enemy troops. But yeah, they could get themselves sandwiched here, so they got to be very careful. But at the same time, it's giving them a great position to put a lot of pressure on the flank of this Austrian defense. Look at this. The French are moving up on the center. They're going to start this engagement with some vote de guerre. So some lights, some skirmishers. They're going to open fire and keep the Austrian lines busy as the French continue to do something here. Uh-oh, there it is. There it is, out of the fog of war. The great gray coats, the winter coats here, ready to potentially strike. And I think if they move in at the right time, they might be able to utterly crush this French cav force. I mean, you got 3 over here, so it's even. 3 versus 3 plus the 4. Here we go. Are they making a move? Is this going to be the first cav engagement? I think so. Cannonballs flying overhead. French cav countercharging. Ooh. Yes, indeed. Both sides are charging. And the French, like I said, have found themselves in a sandwich between 2 Austrian pieces, Austrian bread pieces. Yeah, enough with the bread analogy and the sandwich analogy. You get what I'm saying. And just like that, the French cav is breaking. But do you really think that this is the final form of the French attack? You would be kidding yourself. The French have only just begun. And look at them. They are now charging the center with cav. So they are going to also initiate a strike on the main lines of this Austrian defense and go straight for the Austrian artillery. I didn't even notice that at first glance. A great move with the cav there. And now the French forces, the infantry, are going to capitalize by that. They don't have to worry. Oh, wait, no, they still have artillery over here. They did take out 1 piece, but there's still another large artillery crew right here ready to fight. These are smaller cannons, but dang it, you put some grape shot in it, and it could do unbelievable damage. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, the French are not done yet. They're going to keep pushing forward infantry. Now that they wiped out that artillery, they don't have to worry about canister shot anymore. So they're going to move up the infantry and either charge them in with bayonets or get them dangerously close with line fire. In fact, they're charging in a unit right now from the flank of this Austrian line, which is going to force the Austrians to fall back, and their backs are going to be exposed to the French guns. Now Austrian cav is charging in to try to slow down this French assault. But the French are going to regroup. All they got to do is regroup and fire, regroup and fire. There it is. Oh, right into that big clump of cav. Uh-oh, what's this? French cav in position. They could strike that artillery over there. Since they just pushed back some Austrian cav, they could make an aggressive push for this artillery right here. We'll see what happens, though. They're in striking distance. You always got to watch out for cav that is near the front. Ooh, that artillery. They are shooting at these French lines. Some French units are breaking here. Uh-oh, here we go. Here we go. I'm watching this cav like a hawk watches a little rodent scurry around, you know what I mean, on the forest floor. I'm watching them because they could go in at any second. There's nothing defending this artillery, and they're going to go for it. They're going to go for it. I knew it. The 7 chasseurs, a cheval. There we go. There we go. Yes, this is another tragic loss for the Austrian army. Another piece of artillery gone, and a well-timed strike by the French cav. So now over way on the other flank. Remember, there's some cav battles going on in the outskirts of this fight as well. This cav is protecting their French infantry as they advance on the Austrian flank. The Austrians kind of relying on this hill right here. And yeah, so big push right here. Look at this. Imagine facing this. Okay, you're an Austrian soldier. This is what you see hiking up this hill. Yeah. Pretty nerve-wracking. Doesn't matter how many early shots you got. That is a lot of angry Frenchmen. You know? It's like they woke up and didn't have any baguettes this morning. For breakfast, you know? So they're gonna push up. No onions, no baguettes, no fromage. They're angry. They're petit déjeuner. There we go. They're pushing up, and they are attacking all sides. The cav continues to cycle in. They continue to push in. Austrians trying to form square, but I feel like it's too late. They're surrounded by infantry. It's going to be disaster, and this cav is going to be a big problem. And now they're sending in more infantry to support. They want to completely engulf. Here comes another cav charge. Look at this. The French just striking hard left and right with both uses of infantry and cav, and they're attacking on multiple fronts, and Austria is constantly trying to bend and fold their troops to maintain any sort of organization of a defense. And now the French are now charging the far flank of the Austrian lines. They're ready to take control of this part of the battlefield. Fantastic plays by the French player. Very aggressive. Here we go again. Another charge from the cav. And this is causing mass morale issues for the Austrian lines. I don't think they can maintain this much longer. Now, while this is going on, this chaotic fight, let's go ahead and have a look over on this side, where we can see that most of the Austrian army is in a fog of war. The French and the Saxon forces have fallen back. I don't think they like what they saw. They say, hey, you know what? Our teammates, the other corps, are doing fantastic on the other side. Why do we need to engage? Let's not engage. Let's disengage. And now we've got the Austrian general moving forward. This is a bit risky, guys. You're getting into artillery range here. You never know what could hit your general. You just never know. So it's something that... Oh, the French are going for him. Or the Saxon artillery is definitely going for this general. There is a bit of a cav charge here from Austria, and I think they were going for the artillery, which I don't think they might have killed the artillery, but now the general's fallen back. He realizes it. He's like, oh crap, I gotta get out of here. Here he is right there with the big hat. He's like, I gotta move out of here. This is trouble. My general's getting focused, and boom, just like that, a direct hit on the general, and the Austrian army loses their general in the most tragic and heartbreaking way, because it wasn't even epic. It was epic for the artillery. They're like, headshot, you know, like bingo, like double kill. But yeah, for the Austrians, you want your general like fighting in a blaze of glory of like, you know, epic last stand. That was not epic. All right, it was epic of a shot, but yeah, anyways, let's go back over to this main fight where the French are just claiming this hill. They're like, we are the king of the hill now. And now the other Austrian general is finding himself in the thick of it, but at least this one is putting up a fight. He's getting his sword bloodied before he dies. And there he goes. Like, or is he breaking? Oh, I think he's broken. Oh, no. He's turning. He's turning, and he's gonna go for the French infantry here. And the French are gonna... Oh, look at this. He's like, stop it. Oh, and the French bayonet stab him. And there we go. Another general is dead. And the French have officially conquered this hill. And oh, and we just crashed. All right, sorry about that, guys. We had a little bit of a crash. We're back. The French have just taken out this Austrian, the 2 corps over here, and they're now making their way over to this other side because Austria is making a bold dash to crush the French forces that are in front of them. Look at this. They're sending tons of cav, and look at, they're breaking multiple units right now. And the reason for this, and look at this, is this a general? Is this a yeah, that's, we got a general charging. No, that's not a general, is it? No, not a general, sorry. Oh, look at, they held too, my gosh. But there's more Austrian cav coming in as we speak. So more Saxon cav coming in to support as well. Look at this, just back and forth exchanging cav units one after another. So at this point, Austria desperately has to make a move here and crush the opponents in front of them. We also have look at this, Austria pushing very aggressive over here against the Saxon troops. So what they're trying to do here is quickly defeat this force before this massive reinforcement army shows up. All right, so they desperately got to move in, and the French on this side, the French, team, they're doing a fantastic job of delaying as long as possible. They want to delay the fight because if they try to stand and fight, there's a very good chance that they're going to be utterly wiped out. But if they delay here and try to wait as long as possible until reinforcements arrive, it's probably going to take another 3-4 minutes for the French to get over there. So if they can just hold the fort, hold positions you think you can hold, but anywhere else where you feel like you're going to get overwhelmed, fall back and delay. And the way this is going to work, the deeper Austria goes into this position, the more likely they're going to get utterly surrounded by this French army. So they got to make a decision here. I think what they have to do is go in and try to kill as many troops as possible. Here we go. Oh, yeah, we got Austrian cav charging in. So what they should do is try to break as many troops as possible and then fall back, because they don't want to pursue too much, and then they're going to be completely surrounded by the French armies, the French corps. So they definitely got to play this very carefully. Now over here, the Austrians, they're very far away from this French reinforcement. Look at this, just a horde of troops coming over. So they're very far away. Oh, here comes more Austrian cav. They're going to charge into some lights here, are completely out of position. And they're going to quickly move to this next unit over here. Very good job with this this cav here from Austria. Got to chip away, chip away. Now, it seems like Austria is not going to push over on this line too much. You can see that Austria is actually kind of disengaging. They're moving. They're sliding down. They're keeping their forces together. That way they don't get caught, divided and surrounded. And this is the point. This might be a moment. There's a little cav charge. This might be a little moment where Austria could wipe out a decent chunk of the Saxon forces, of Saxony. There they go. Look at them. There they go. Bayonets and all. Oh, and they're instantly breaking. The Saxon troops are instantly breaking. We got some French troops, or the Italian French troops, which is being led by Eugene. So he's holding this side over here. But yeah, look at this. Another fresh wave of cav pouring in to support the Austrian infantry. And they are breaking, guys. Breaking the Saxon forces here. Utter chaos. And this is huge. Look at this. They could break this entire chunk of Saxon forces. They even have the Saxon general here. Well, he's a French general, but he's leading Saxon troops, if I'm not mistaken. Beradat. Sorry. Kind of forgot their names already. But yeah, they're doing a good job here. They're doing a good job. And this is what they have to do if they want any chance of winning this battle. They got to move in quickly and try to break up this army and weaken them as much as possible. Here comes another cav charge. And sure enough, look at this huge chunk. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units. This one is about to break. So 6. They've got a couple troops fleeing for their lives. They've got some cav in the back here. But overall, most of the Saxon line infantry is breaking. The French are even falling back over here. Again, they want to do this. They want to create... They want the Austrians to get tunnel vision and to pursue them. Because if they do that, the French forces over here are going to arrive directly behind them. So now we've got the reinforcements. They finally made it, guys. They're now opening fire on some Austrian cav. They are moving in. We've got Chasseurs Cheval looking like they're defending their artillery that they've got up here. And I think that's what was going on. I think this cav was going to try to make a move for that French artillery. That's one thing you got to be cautious of, is when, even if you're doing very well at the start, here comes some more cav. Looks like they want to get a piece of this action. You got to watch your artillery. You can't just mindlessly charge it forward, because you can get it in a position where the enemy cav can quickly swoop in and you know, crush it. But yeah, they're going to fall back over there, and it looks like most of this French infantry is going to consolidate and regroup and just push. And now look at this, guys. French cav charging into Austrian cav. I don't know. It looks pretty good for Austria here, unless the French get some nice infantry support, which they do. And the French get out of there by the skin of their teeth, which means barely, in case you didn't know. But yeah, they're going to push forward, and Austria is actually now falling back. And this is what I was talking about, guys. They're falling back, and that's a smart decision by Austria, because if they kept pursuing forward, if they kept trying to hunt down these Saxon troops and try to defeat this little French force over here, they would be so far down in the battlefield that this French reinforcement force would get behind them. But instead, they're using the town and this river as a bit of a wall behind them. You know, it's an area where the French can't easily get behind, right? So they're kind of using this position to kind of protect their rear and, you know, not get completely engulfed, completely surrounded by the French forces. Now, we do have the Austrians doing, you know, having some pop shots, giving them hell for a couple volleys, and then they're going to fall back and regroup with the rest of their army. So here we go. Can the French do it again? Can they do another elegant charge, another elegant, you know, I like to call them like jabs. Like the Cavs charging in is like a good uppercut or something to the French army. A well-timed Cav charge can be disaster for armies. So here we go. Is this an uppercut? You know, uppercut jab with the, or it's not a jab, you get what I'm saying, uppercut punch? No, they're not going to go for it. They're going to disengage. So here we go. They're closing in. Austria doesn't really have a choice here. They could keep falling back to the city and using the choke points to the city to kind of help them out against the overwhelming numbers of the French. But it's tough because it's going to come down to melee if it goes to that. And, you know, it's hard to win melee when you're outnumbered by so much, but maybe the Austrian infantry is god tier. You know, maybe their melee is better than the French. I don't know if that's necessarily true. Like, oh, jeez, absolutely brutal. Don't know if that's true, but we'll see what they can do. They also have artillery over here. They could set up some artillery, again, in the choke points, which would make it very difficult for the French to charge in and do anything. But so far, I think Austria's doing what they have to do. They're regrouping, they're falling back, and they're securing their flanks. And from here, they just got to rely on some well-timed cav charges and some god-tier artillery shots. All right, that's how they're going to win this battle. But so far, it is obviously clear that this battle is in favor of the French, as they are now mobilizing thousands of troops around the flank. And the Austrians just can't keep up. They just don't have enough men to secure their flanks, and this is going to become a big problem. The only thing that I think the Austrians can do here is cav. Potentially, if the French overextend, the cav can charge in and potentially break a lot of units and, you know, get them where it hurts for being too aggressive. But we'll see. We'll see how that plays out. Back over here. Let's see. Yeah, the French are kind of just they're just dipping their toes in the water over here. They're not getting too aggressive. What the French are doing here is just saying, hey, I got to keep you Austrians honest, okay? Because the real attack, is right here with a big cav charge right in the center of this army, and they go straight for the Austrian lines. Look at this, and they're doing a fantastic job. Oh my gosh. Can none of these Austrian troops form square? Maybe they can, but they were too late. Too late. This cav came out of nowhere, and they are breaking mass amount of troops. And guys, I hate to call battles way too early, but it's starting to feel like this is going to be a decisive French victory. For the Royal Cravates. There they go. Look at them. They're still going. They're just tunneling. Just like dwarves going through a mine. Just tunneling through these Austrians. Here comes another cav charge. This is Saxon getting revenge for the loss of most of his army. He's going to charge in as well. And boop. Plop him right in the head. There you go. Look at that. Making them fly. Making these Austrians fly. Austria, first in flight. But yeah, they're doing a good job. Great flank here by the French. Again, they have the numbers. They've got the troops. They can overextend. And look at this massive break, guys. In a matter of seconds, the French charge in and do some heavy, deadly damage. Now, the Austrian lines are still pretty intact here. But of course, the French, they're going to lick their lips here. They smell blood. And they're going to go ahead and push forward to really pin these fresh units down so all this French cav can get behind them. And my goodness, look at this. It's like the dam has just collapsed. And the force that finally got it to just crumble was that stunning cav charge that just came out of nowhere and got the Austrian infantry. They either, one, couldn't form square, or two, they just didn't see it in time. And that was a great sudden strike from the French there. Now, we do have some Austrian cav in the back here trying to do what they can, trying to disrupt them as much as they can, but even if they have a little victory here, which they don't, it's not really going to lead to anything. And now the infantry's pouring in, and look at this, an absolute chaotic mess right here. Absolute chaotic mess. Everyone is breaking except for these core troops right here. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units. And guys, I'm gonna be real with you. They're using their silencers. I'm going to be real with you guys. That's not enough to win the battle, okay? Even if these are just like the peak troops that Austria can muster, the greatest of the greatest, it's not going to be enough. Austria's doing everything they can. Why is everyone shooting silencers? I swear, is my sound messed up? It is, man. It always changes. There we go. All right, let's go back and resume. You know, the sound is always a problem. You always got to check that sound. And there we go. The French are going to close in. And look at this nice little, like, L shape they got here. It's not going to be enough, though. A brave stand, though, by the Austrians. You got to give them that. Oh, my God. Look at these French. Look at that. Ah! Uh-huh. Yeah, this is the cleanup phase of the battle, guys, and I think it's safe to say that this is going to be a victory for the French, which, of course, the clan leading the French here is the Royal Cravates, I believe is how you pronounce it. I mean, I think that means tie in French, so, or ties, because it's plural. But yeah, that's going to be it, guys. Really, the rest is just these troops making their last stand, but it's not going to last much longer. It's going to be a short last stand. And we just watched the trail of Austrians flee from the fight. But this came down, honestly, this came down to really fantastic, well-timed cav charges by the French. We saw it over here where was it? We're way over here where they charged in right up the gut and got the artillery out of the way. Once they did that, they used overwhelming force, overwhelming troops, and they just overextended in a good way around the Austrian lines, and they just like an ocean pouring in, just crushed this army from every direction. and just wiped them out without losing too many casualties. And since they had such overwhelming troops, same thing happened here. It wasn't even the overwhelmingness of the troops that won the day. It was that, again, a well-timed cav charge that came right up the gut. Right here it happened and just broke 4, 5, 6 units of Austrian troops, and it just did not stop. And there we go. There's the pursuing French forces after the Austrians. We'll go ahead and fast forward, guys, because we have this one unit. You see this one unit? I think it's a general or something. He's not willing to give up, but it's over. There it is. That's the battle. So they're not going to win based on points. They're going to win by total destruction. And here are the results, guys. I can't see them, but you can see them because I'm going to edit them in. But yeah, that was a hell of a fight and a great match. And NTW3 has been a lot of fun, so I definitely got to try to upload more. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time on the battlefield.